It is indeed a great pleasure for me and my colleagues to join our counterparts from Malaysia to celebrate this very important day. Malaysia and Africa have had a historical relationship. And as the president of the Malaysia Youth Council indicated, this relationship transcends the struggle for independence. And for Malaysia as a Commonwealth country, majority of the Commonwealth countries resonate with you. I also want to remind colleagues gathered here today that just like most African countries, Malaysia has been part of the struggle to build a truly resilient South-South cooperation. Cooperation that benefits the majority of us in the world, because those of us in the global South constitute the majority of the world's population. But I want to quote from one of the famous writers, Frantz Fanon, that says, every generation out of relative obscurity must discover its mission. To fulfill or to betray it. What is our relative obscurity as young people of the continent? Youth unemployment is one of our relative obscurities. Insecurity is a relative obscurity. Unfair trade is a relative obscurity. Bias in terms of how global multilateral systems are configured is a relative obscurity. But as young people, we cannot just throw our hands in the air. We have a responsibility to build partnerships and collaborations, meaningful and constructive partnerships that will reassert our position within the global order. For young Ethiopians in this room, your relative obscurity borders from insecurity to challenges of unemployment. But we cannot deal with these relative obscurities in isolation as independent, separate countries. Our relative obscurity must be dealt with in solidarity, in unity, and in oneness. And that's why a meeting like this is extremely important. And distinguished leaders in the room, the team Youth Partnership for Shared Prosperity. The Global South has been one of the most disadvantaged in terms of benefiting from the dividends of globalization. And that means that we as young people, with the energy that we have, with the sense of ingenuity that we have, with the passion and drive that we have, must begin to forge synergies, forge collaborations, share experiences, both cultural, technical, and technological, to be able to ameliorate the challenges that we confront in our respective countries. Permit me to remind you that Malaysia as a country have had meaningful footprints from supporting African countries to build capacity in vocational and technical training, to support African countries to build capacity in oil and gas industry, and also for those Commonwealth countries in the room. Malaysia currently hosts the Commonwealth Innovation Hub. That means that there are already existing bases for us to forge these meaningful relationships in order to be able to build a world that represents the aspirations of all of us in the global south. Malaysia hosts the World Federation of Youth, and for over 70 years, Malaysia has been at the forefront of galvanizing young people across the world to amplify your voices through this particular structure. I'm pleased that a country like Malaysia hosts an institution that reflects the aspirations of young people across the globe and not just Malaysia. And therefore, when we meet like this, it's important for us to reflect beyond our respective countries. You reflect beyond Ethiopia, reflect beyond South Africa, reflect beyond Botswana, Ghana, Togo, and South Africa, and look at yourself as global citizens that have a responsibility and a civic duty to hold the multilateral system accountable, and by doing so, forging collaborations across the globe. And in this context, forging meaningful collaborations between Africa and Malaysia to ensure that we fortify, that we revive, and we re-energize the South-South cooperation that would ensure that the young people that constitute the majority in the global South benefit from the resources, the potential of our young people, and the dividends of globalization in a fair, equitable, and egalitarian form. On this basis, I want to thank each of you for joining us today, and I encourage us to take advantage of this particular session to forge relationships, build partnerships, and increase the collaboration between Africa and Malaysia to resonate with the young people that we represent across Africa. I thank you for your attention.